Okay, so I wanted to have a conversation with you about something kind of prevalent that seems kind of insignificant, but has actually become more significant to me.
Okay.
And that is current events.
Okay.
So, what's your take on your relationship with current events?
I don't have a relationship with current events. I try to stay off of the news and all of that. Like, I have no desire to, like, I don't know anything anymore. Like, I think since the pandemic,
Just since the pandemic?
I think it's amped it up.
Mm-hmm.
But even before that, with a lot of the rioting and the killing and just like
The
all
rioting? Oh,
rioting
Got it.
and killings, and it's just a whole lot of bad news. And so I started noticing how I emotionally feel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not good for me to read the details and the specifics of stuff. And so I thought, I need to stay off of the news. I need to not have access to those things. And if it's big enough news, then my friends will be talking about it. My husband will be talking about it. And I can get the safe, general information about it without it, I guess, triggering me or making me feel anxious or nervous or worried or whatever. So I get all of my information from you.
Right. So the reason why I wanted this to be a topic of discussion, to even think about how this ties into marriage, for me, it ties in because it's one of those things where you say, like, you get your information from me. But when I try to bring stuff up to you, you're like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so so it's kind of twofold for me. On a communication standpoint, it's like, okay, you're kind of shutting me out of this one area because you don't want to be exposed to what's going on in the world. And so now for me, somebody who likes information is taking in all this information, and I'm feeling a certain way, and I don't have my actual partner to flush this stuff out with before I go out into the world. You know, I'm internalizing it. I'm personally trying not to talk to other people online because they're all also mad about certain things or whatever. And I'm not somebody who needs 5-10 days to talk about something. I just need to have my thoughts and then get it out with someone and be like, yeah, or be challenged and kind of be like, okay, cool. And then I can like move on to the next thing. But if I come home and I try to share that with you, you know, just for clarity, you are able to work from home. So while our kids are home and in school at home, and you are working from home, you kind of are in, you know, the typical stay-at-home mom bubble.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like I have my world and everything is happening out there.
Yeah.
And I'm only concerned with what's happening here.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. But I feel like there are effects of the desire to want to be shielded and sheltered as an adult away from things that are happening in the world, short of, well, I'll let my husband and my friends tell me, even to the degree that when they try to tell you, you're like, girl, I don't know nothing about that. I don't even want to know. I don't want to hear it. And I'm just kind of like, I feel you. I feel, based on your circumstances, why for your own mental sanity, that would be your gut reaction. But my challenge to you, though, is, one, the part that I say, you know, I want to be able to express my feelings. I want to be able to flush my thoughts out with my partner. And then two, like, I want our kids to know that their mom, who tells them all the time, what's my job? To protect you. Like, what are you protecting them from if you don't know what's actually going on in the world? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of something that I've wanted to express to you And then I get that you're not on Facebook and CNN and all the news. Like, I know I got time for all those things too.
Yeah.
But to kind of see what is popping, if you will, and to kind of have not only a basis knowledge about it, but even an emotion. I think even as our kids get older, is going to benefit you as a wife and a mom to be able to speak to certain things that they're going to want to start knowing about. They're going to be like, hey, Mom, I heard such and such at school. What's that about? Child, I don't know nothing about that. Then someone else is going to feed them what they should believe on particular issues, things that will affect them. I mean, a 22-year-old kid just got murdered by the police last week. I don't even know if you know that.
I don't.
Like, our kids are small now.
Yeah.
You know, and we have friends that have kids that are teens and will soon be young adults. It's like, they're going to have to deal with stuff like that, and we should not be sheltered from that.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. And I definitely get your point as far as there's a responsibility that us as parents that we should have and making sure that we are aware of what's happening out in the world so that we can protect them. Where do I want to go with this?
Just tell me what you really feel.
So there has to be... So I'll say this. I think that we need to play to our strengths. Okay? There are certain things that we can tag team on. There are certain things that we can divvy up so that we not only protect our kids, but we protect ourselves. There are certain things that I can do that I'm better at. Not necessarily saying that you're bad at it, but I'm better at it. Like,
that's every marriage.
Yeah, I pay the bills. I'm at home. I can feel the calls that we get as far as payments, and I can pay online during the day when you're at work and you can't do it. And so it makes more sense for all of the bills to be handled by me. And that's something that you don't even have to even know or deal with. You know that it's taken care of. Mm-hmm. Not saying that you can't have access to it. And I've given you, of course, access to all the stuff that we have to pay. Sure. But it's not even something that you have to field. You don't have to look through the bank account. You don't have to look through all the bills to see if it's being paid or what's being paid or the status of anything. And I feel like when it comes to stuff like current events, I understand that we parents need to know, but as far as doing the research, going online and searching stuff and absorbing all this information, that's your strength. Especially because our kids are at home right now.
I understand.
There are certain things that they don't have access to. Mm-hmm. So I can be the person that grows them in the home. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you can be the person that has the outside information. You can field it to me, the things that enough information so that I don't get triggered, so that I don't have sleepless nights, so that I don't become a worrier, which is not even in my nature to be.
Sure.
I understand the fact that I should know some things, but if I have to be responsible for going off searching for it, then I'm not protecting my mental health, which will not do my children any good. Now, if I can get the initial information from you and then say, okay, this is something that I need to do more seeking or whatever, then fine. But if you're like, you need to know about current events, go and learn all that your children may or may not have to deal with. Sure. Then that's
right, and that's not right. And I guess that's not what I'm asking of you.
Okay.
I think at the top of it is more so my relationship with you.
Okay.
I think for me, when I present something to you that's like, hey, did you hear about this worldwide news? And you're like, nope, I don't know about it, don't want to hear about it, don't want to talk about it. And I'm kind of like, yo, this is happening in our world. Like, we're a part of history right now. Like, historical things are happening in our time, I would hate. I mean, even aside from the marital relationship part, which I'll get to in a second, but just the part of being a black woman in 2021 where historical things are unfolding, I would hate to sit at like our grandparents' feet and be like, hey, what was happening in this year? And they're like, oh, child, I wasn't even paying attention. Like, what? Like, that's bananas to think that you lived when Martin Luther King lived, or that you lived when this was happening, this thing that changed the face of the nation, and you were just like, I don't want anything to do with it because of whatever personal convictions, where it's like, you know what, I have this going on, I have that going on, and it's triggering to me. Like, I kind of get all that. I think that bringing it back to the whole marriage part, for the sake of us, because I am going out into the world. Mm-hmm. I am having to drive on the highway and wonder about certain things when I see, cop cars, trailing behind me or just nearby. And am I driving speed limit? Are my lights on? Like, I do those checks all the time. And there's things happening in the world that fuel those things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I may want to come home and have those conversations with you. Mm-hmm. So to say, rightfully so, in your own convictions, to say like, yeah, I'm not really, interested in this, or I'm not really trying to hear about that. It kind of feels like a barrier of communication, because this is something that does affect me every day. Mm-hmm. And it's a point in which I want to say, hey, how do you feel about this situation? Or how do you feel about this new law that they just passed? You don't even know it's a new law being passed because it's national news, but you're not, and again, that's fine. But for me to be able to bring that to you and talk to you about it, I'm like, dog, like, I need to get these things out.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if we've ever talked about this on our channel or not. Mm-hmm. I believe I've had this conversation with you, and I know for a fact we've had this conversation with couples.
Sure.
There is a sense in which we need to find interest in what our partner is like.
Yeah.
Okay. The things that are important to our partners is something that we need to find interest in. So I understand what you're saying. That's a part of you that you're wanting to share with me. So I get that. Okay. There's also there can also be a problem where we're trying to get all of our needs met in our partner. Mm-hmm. Everything that I love, everything that I am, everything that makes me who we are, I have to share intimately with my partner. So if I like glass making, you must go to every class with me. If I like poetry, if I like opera, if I like fashion shows, if I like food, if I like chocolate, you have to eat it with me. If I'm a vegetarian, you have to be a vegetarian. Everything that I am, you must, because I want to share that with you. Mm-hmm. Then we go too far. And so I feel like there has to be a middle ground where we say, this is something that's important to me, but do I have to have my partner share this with me, or can I find another community to share this with so that my need for talking about current events is met?
Sure. And I think what I'm trying to so I'm not disagreeing with you. We've talked about that many times. I think in relation to, clearly, if I want to talk about basketball all day, I'm not going to come to you. That's clear. As much as I would love to share everything with you, I'm not going to tell you about Kevin Durant's latest injury and how mad I am that Anthony Davis is still not playing, and all those things that you don't even know about, that you don't care about. However, my thing still stands, though, is that while being aware that there are areas that we may have our needs met through other mediums, this particular issue is something that, yes, I want to share with you because of how you think, because you are an instinctual person. You're not going to sit and process. You're going to be like, boom, this is how I feel, which helps a person who overthinks. I'm going to also want to discuss these things with you because you are the mother of my children, and how you think about certain things may be something I want to influence for the sake of the fact that you are staying home with my kids. And I don't doubt for 1 second, yeah, they're in school online right now, but then when they do start going back to school and coming home and asking questions because they're going to hear stuff, I want to know, as the head of my home, I want to kind of establish what our posture is towards things that are happening in the world. Not that we got to go out and, do a whole bunch of different activities and stuff like that, which I'm not against those, but in terms of our awareness and our feelings towards it, again, because these things are happening in our world now, like we are actually a part of history today.
And I can definitely see that's important to you.
Yeah. And so I think there is what's what I'm looking for? This is one of those things where I feel like there are areas in a marriage where two people can consensually agree. This sounds bad already. Consensual. Two people can agree to permit one another to seek certain social needs, whatever, somewhere else in trusting places. Like if I want to talk about basketball to somebody, like I can go to my friend Kyle and talk to Kyle about basketball, not some random chick, at work or something like that. So there are definitely those platforms where it's like we can agree to, hey, you don't want to talk about this, that's cool, I'm gonna go over here. I don't want to talk about certain things that you like to talk about, so you talk to your sister about stuff like whatever, makeup, jewelry, arts and crafts, all that stuff. And you have Keisha to talk about hair and makeup and all that. I'm not good. And so that's cool. For me, when I think about these particular issues, I specifically think about you. I specifically think about my wife. So it's not just a matter of having this need met. It's a matter of having this avenue of communication with you.
Okay, so I have a question. Mm-hmm. I submit to the fact that this is something that's important that you want to share with me. What heck, how do I want to phrase this?
I think I know where you're going, but I don't want to feed you your lines.
Don't feed me my lines. So, I submit to the fact that this is what you want.
Sure.
From me.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why this is important to you. I really do.
Okay.
What is it that you exactly want from me? Knowing who I am, wanting to keep me safe, wanting to be realistic. What is it that you want from me when talking or discussing about current events?
Sure. So in my mind, I called it. I felt like you wanted to know what were my expectations.
What are your expectations of me in this
thing?
In
this regard? Absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. So, and I think that's a fair question. My expectations right now are really just, I want you to kind of have a base knowledge of what's going on. So, to give you just a real life example, right now, the whole Derek Chauvin trial with the killing of George Floyd last year, I'm having like a lot of feelings about it because just like any other case that we've seen where this situation has repeated itself, this man is on trial for essentially taking the life of another human being.
Okay.
And, with all the details being what they are, my expectation for you is I want you just to know I just want you to know, like, hey, this situation happened.
Okay.
I kind of have a base idea of the fact that he had his knee in this guy's neck for 9 minutes and I think it's like 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And that essentially took his life. And now this man is on trial for it.
Okay.
Now, I'm not expecting you to like sit on the live stream watching the trial or nothing like that. But just to be aware of what's happening in the world.
So question.
Sure.
Can I get that information from you, or are you asking me to put myself in a situation where I need to go out and get this information?
Sure. So I guess my whole thing is it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I think this probably does lean more towards the me presenting it to you.
Okay.
And your posture is like, I don't even want to know about that. And then there's like this pride in the not knowing. And I'll be honest with you, it does make me feel some kind of way in front of people when people are talking like, yo, did you see this? This thing happening in our country, happening to black people in our country. And you're like, girl, I don't know anything about that. And I'm kind of like, dog, like I get, I told I understand your posture, but it's the presentation that I think might sometimes look a certain way, because it's almost like, wow, this black woman doesn't care. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the case at all, but I don't know that that's communicated.
Yeah,
and does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so I will say this, when it comes to the drama of like movie stars and famous people and their little, who's married to who got a divorce,
right?
Dude, I don't.
Dude, Macaulay Culkin and some chick had a baby, and that was news. I'm like, who cares? Don't people have babies anymore?
I don't care. Because we are a marriage and relationship channel, I do feel like if there's something to glean from what's happening out in the world that everybody's talking about, sure, that adds value. Do you understand what I'm saying? It gives me a perspective that I can talk about. But there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on in this world that does not add value. If anything, it takes away from me.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the specific details about death, the specific details about black men, lives being taken, I can't handle it. Like, I don't want to know the specifics. Another black man died at the hands of a cop or at the hands of whatever. Okay, now I know that something has happened. And I cannot handle more details than that. You can tell me, hey, another murder has happened in this state at this time. Okay. He's going to go to trial. Okay, thank you. He won or he lost. Okay, thank you. Because when it comes to stuff like that, emotions and fear start to fester, and I can't sleep, and I get emotional, and I'm trying not to get emotional now. But their faces become yours. Their faces become my son, and I cannot sleep. And so I have to protect myself and say, the specific details don't add value to me. And it makes me not be able to function healthily when it comes to you, when it comes to my son. And so that's why I say all the time, even with other people, because I have to stop that conversation. I don't want you to go any further with those kind of conversations, because if those people get off, I'm furious. And I want something to happen. When these people get off with murder for killing a black man, for killing a black woman, for taking the life of a child, and they get off, I can't sleep. You know, and I'm like, I feel like I need to do something, you know? Like, that's the kind of personality that I have. Sure. What can I do? What can I do? And then I feel so helpless. I can't do anything about these people that have died and these cops that get off from taking the lives of people. Like, there's nothing I can do. And then I just go through this emotional cycle of feeling so helpless and wondering one day if that could happen to us, and the helplessness that I feel.
Sure.
And so I understand. Can you hand me a tissue? So I understand needing the information, if to only be aware of what's happening around us so that we can protect our children. But I don't need all the details.
I understand.
It's not something that I can handle because it puts me in the state of hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go searching. The latest killing, the what's his name?
Philando Castile? That's not the latest.
Well, I'm sorry, not the latest, but
just his case.
His case, the video.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah. Sure.
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see his video, and ever since then, anything that surfaced about a person being shot, a person being murdered, I can't watch it, and I can't engross myself in it. So that's why I'm like, I tell everybody, I get my information from my husband. He will protect me and give me the information that I specifically need, and he will give me no more.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, seriously. I want to affirm everything that you're saying, and also champion your show of emotion, because I think that's kind of what I do need sometimes. I don't want you to cry, but rather than be shut off, it helps my heart as your husband to know that you have some kind of connection to what is legitimately happening in the world. You know, chances are, Lord willing, that stuff will never happen to me. That stuff will never happen to you or our kids. You know, that's our hope and our prayer. And so if that be the case, praise God for that. Like, I'm happy about that. But it may happen to someone else. And I don't want us to be so sheltered in our home that we are not having tears for those that do have to go through that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean drowning yourself in details. It doesn't mean drowning yourself in the case. That is sometimes for people like me who like information. And I can be honest to myself, sometimes it is too much. And I don't know. Maybe sometimes I need you to say, babe, you should pull back from the details, because maybe that's what I need. But if I share and immediately am met with your own rightful, borders, then I'm left to continue to be in my own devices. And so I just feel like it's good conversation to be able to share those kinds of things. So I'm not, and again, I just want to be very clear. Like, I don't plan on like dropping a whole bunch of bags at your door every day. I know you can't. But just to be able to share important things that are relevant to us, to our kids, to the world, things that are just happening, and to have a pride over time in knowing what's going on in your community, in your world, things that will affect your kids. They're young now, but don't wait till they're 16 to tell, it's like, nah, like, we want to be down with knowing things that are going on before they get to that age.
No, I definitely understand that. And it is something that I look to you to lead.
Sure.
When it comes to our children. But I understand that there's times where you also want to share it with me and get stuff off your chest. And I do apologize for being a wall when it comes to that. I want you to share how you're feeling. And you're right, I should know what's happening. I think that there has to be some form of compromise or some form of trust that you can come to me and share safely what's happening, taking my emotions into consideration, but also not feeling like you can't share with me.
Sure.
Because I do want to know how you're feeling. Yeah. And maybe that's the compromise, that you can say, hey, I need to tell you 2 facts about what's going on. But the rest of the conversation is going to be how I'm dealing with it, how I'm processing it. And I think that's a better conversation, because I do want to know how the world is affecting you. I don't want to necessarily know the details about what's going on in the world.
Sure. And not all the details.
But I do want to know how it is affecting you. And so I will definitely work on not being a brick wall and knowing that I can be safe with you.
You can also be closer to me.
What does that mean?
No, I'm saying, like, by us having more to talk about, this
I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying it's another.
I'm like, are you going to be there like leaning?
No, I'm just saying. It's like, hey. No, I'm saying, like, how typically there are different things that connect us, and then those things turn into other things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this will lead to that. I'm just saying this is another avenue in which we can connect, as That's opposed to, hey, go over there and talk to them about that, or go over there. And those things are valid. We know that. Like, I'm not going to talk to you about basketball. You're not going to talk to me about makeup. But these particular topics, I feel like, help us connect in a deeper way than just like, hey, is this going to lead to the bedroom? Like, yo, this makes us more one. Yeah. To talk and know what we stand on that we're going to be passing down to our children.
And I think that means more to me than just you spilling out a bunch of facts about what's happening.
Absolutely.
More so, give me the condensed version of what's happening, and then yes, please tell me, where are you standing on this? What are you wanting our children to know about it, so that when we introduce it to our children, we're a united front, and letting me know if it's causing you stress, if it's causing you anxiety, because that's something that I need to know.
Okay. I appreciate you having this conversation with me.
Yeah, thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.